qualified to answer the question, but if both of you can come forward. We could probably satisfy thousands of testifiers in the last few days and avoid a lot of conflict if we didn't call this union of a same-sex couple a marriage. And if we kept the biblical tradition for marriage between a man and a woman and a marriage for a same-sex couple, if we called it, for lack of a better name, like I can't believe it's not marriage. Can you tell me why it's so important for you, if we could avoid the federal government question, why it needs to be called marriage? Why can't it be called Civil Unions 2.0?
Well, it can't be called anything but marriage for the federal benefit purpose.
But if we avoided the federal question, does it still need to be called marriage in your mind?
Well, I believe marriage, the idea of marriage is a state of mind for each individual person to be married, to feel what they feel about being married. You know, whether or not you tell me I'm married to Suzanne, we believe we are married. Unfortunately, the word marriage does trigger the benefits. So, yes, we are married. I can call myself married. I feel I'm married to Suzanne. I guess if you ask everybody what the meaning is about marriage, we probably would say the same thing.
Then is it about, I mean, it could be hashtag marriage, but is it about marriage for the federal benefits, or do you believe the Hawaii gay community needs to have it called marriage?
For Suzanne and I, it is about the trigger of the federal benefits. That is exactly what it is. For the community, and for all the people of Hawaii, it should be called marriage. You know, if marriage, I mean, for the people that, you know, we bump into at the doctor's office, at the bank, all these things, when you say you're married, the perception that everyone has, or the understanding of what that married means, it's not misunderstood. If we are called civil union, it causes them to start to think, okay, now civil unions, what does that mean? That means they get some of these and some of those. When you come up and you say you're married, that automatically triggers an idea or a perception by people of what that entails.
Okay, for interest of time, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Representative Ward for another testifier.
The rocket scientist still in the committee. You have a flair for bringing yourself back to the podium. That was a great marketing question, leaving us on a point of a tease. We can have justice, we can have freedom, and stay tuned, and now you're back. Could you explain how you were going to have that third option?
Well, I think...
Representative, hold on. Representative Ward.
Yes, madam.
You know, we discussed this
Was that too embellishment of the question? I want to know what you had in mind.
So can you just kind of rephrase it? Or you can also talk offline. At this point in time, we're not going to do decision making because there's a lot of testifiers still waiting to testify. And
Chair, you're confusing me. I just want to ask him a question about what he had in mind between the gay community and uniting it with the faith community, and he said he had a third option.
Yeah, but you
So
know,
I'm
one of
confused.
the things that we established early on is please don't use the questioning to continue the testimony.
Madam Chair, this is sincerely a question of if he has a way of uniting what otherwise is a very divided community. Chair, I'm sorry, I need to hear what this man has to say.
I think you
Chair, I think you think your district has more people than my district, and I have as much right to speak as you, and I'm going to ask the gentleman a question.
Adjourn.
You want to throw me off?
Yeah, I was just joking. Okay, but the point is, I just wanted to just kind of say in a very polite way, you know the rules, and the rules, we've been very lenient about that. And so you cannot use the questioning process to prolong the testimony. And so I ask your assistance in this matter because we can do all this all night. But, several testifiers have complained that they've been waiting here for days. And so we want to take as many testifiers as we can.
I think those
please go
testifiers
ahead.
would like to hear what I have to say, if I may, Madam Chair.
If there's value added, please proceed.
He should have said it earlier.
Representative Ward.
Chair, it's legitimate because he said we are a divided community, we're a divided nation. He has a solution, and I think that has nothing to do with having him draw out the issue. I'm not trying to draw this out. Look, if you have nothing to add,
Okay.
if he has nothing to add, I'll leave it up to you, not me. This was not prearranged. But you've taken more time chastising me than what he otherwise would have said on his own.
I will
But
be brief, Madam Chair, if I may.
Okay, go ahead. Be very brief.
It better be good.
I advocate, similar to the people before me, that the problem is not a solution. We cannot solve this at the state level because the problem is federal benefits for our members. And I am, as I said, this is part of my testimony that I said that I'm willing to stake my reputation on that and my friendship. This is, in fact, day 2 for me of a hunger strike because I am not going to stop this until my brothers and sisters receive their federal benefits. We have a sitting president who was born in this state who will benefit tremendously by championing this effort. Now is our opportunity to unite as a state, as a people, in the spirit of aloha, and lead the world to a way that we can live together. We can be united in peace, and we can show the other states and the other countries what it means to live together and not tear each other apart.
Okay, thank you. I think you made your point. Okay, any other questions?
What's the solution?
Representative Fale.
Madam Chair, I have a question for my little brother that's in high school at Kamehameha. Is it Dano?
No, the one in the red, I think. Right?
Well, yes, the two brothers. And as you're approaching the microphone, my question has to do with you mentioned about. Well, let me first ask you this question: do we have a number of unresolved issues in regards to Native Hawaiian rights in the Native Hawaiian community?
Yes.
Do you believe that justice delayed for the Hawaiian community is justice denied?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you believe we should have dealt with those issues before?
Yes.
Okay. My question is, over at Kamehameha High School, how many kids are trying to get into Kamehameha High School, at least that you know of? At what grade? What grade did you come in?
Well, I got in kindergarten. I know there's thousands a grade. Kindergarten, 4th grade, 7th grade, and 9th grade. Still trying to apply for Kamehameha. And yeah.
A lot.
Did you? I know there's a lot because my mother worked at Kamehameha and she would do these interviews. And you don't have any idea? Would you say the majority of Hawaiian children are turned away from Kamehameha because there's not enough room for them?
Yes.
I don't think
Okay.
he's an expert in admissions, but
Okay.
Go ahead. Okay, other questions?
Oh, no, that's all. Thank you, Chair.
Representative Bellotti.
If Suzanne Young and Tambra Young and Charlotte could come forward, please. And it's going to be very brief, and it's along these lines of beneficiaries. I do want folks to know out there that we are listening and that this issue about Native Hawaiian rights has actually been very disconcerting to me. So I kind of want to unpack some of the I think misconceptions that have been out there about this section 572 C, which is with respect to presumptions of parentage. So I just want to understand the 3 main programs for Native Hawaiian beneficiaries that we're concerned with are KSBE, DHHL, and OHA, correct? And all 3 of those Native Hawaiian programs, in order to become a beneficiary, I've tried to look up and see what their steps are. You guys have been through that as a Native Hawaiian family. What are the things that you have to prove to be able to get to be beneficiaries of these programs?
With Kamehameha, they have the Ho'oulu Hawaiian Data Center. It's required that you show biological. So Shiler applied for Kamehameha. She tested on Saturday for 9th grade. What we had to put in there was Tambri as the biological, and even though I'm Hawaiian, I'm a co-parent adoption on the birth certificate, but that has no bearing for the Kamehameha application. It was biological for Tambri, and we're registered through the Ho'oulu Hawaiian Data Center, which goes through the verification.
For DHHL and OHA, have you registered for any of those, and do you know what the criteria are to be able to qualify as a beneficiary for those programs?
We registered with OHA to do the ancestry for the Kawinoa and all of the other Kanai'olavalu. And with all of those, it is blood, biological, natural parent. Those are the things. You can find it on the website. It's not hard. All of their criteria is there. None of it is just purely what is on your birth certificate.
And the same for DHHL because of the blood quantum
Blood
qualification.
quantum.
Thank
It's
you.
very specific on DHHL that it's blood.
Thank you. That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, Representative Har?
Madam Chair, point of clarification. At 9:49, you actually hit the gavel and you said we are adjourned. So I just want to make sure, for the record, are we actually back in? What exactly are we doing with the hearing? Are these people who are testifying, is their testimony part of the record?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so you were literally, when you say you were joking,
Yeah,
you were
I was
not,
actually
you did not,
joking.
in fact, adjourn the hearing.
Right.
Okay.
And
So
my apologies to Representative Ward. That was just,
I just want to make sure for, the processing. Okay,
Madam
so
Chair,
we
it was
are
a good
it was a
April Fool.
recess. It was a recess.
Accepted.
You meant to say recess. Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
I didn't even mean to say recess. I just wanted to throw my gavel at him. And it accidentally hit the block. Okay, so can we move on? Thank you, Representative Har, for that clarification.
You just go? Hi, my name is Dean Hamer. I'm number 3028, and I support SB1. During these hearings, there's been a lot of discussion about the question of whether being gay is a choice or whether it's an immutable trait. And I'm here to offer the committee the current view of the scientific community on this particular question. I do so as a Harvard PhD molecular biologist and chief emeritus of gene structure and regulation at the National Institutes of Health, where I published over 100 peer-reviewed papers and 3 books on this topic. Scientists like me think about sexual orientation not as a lifestyle, but as a phenotype, an observable set of properties that varies between individuals. We determine the sources of this variation through quantitative twin studies and molecular genetic mapping. The results of such studies are unambiguous. Genes are the single most important factor in determining a person's sexual orientation and outweigh all known shared environmental factors. Furthermore, sexual orientation is associated with 2 specific regions of the human genome, P20 to Q22 on chromosome 8 and Q28 on chromosome X. A recent Society of Human Genetics study dramatically confirmed these links with odds ratio of greater than 10,000 to 1. During these hearings, Representative McDermott claimed that being gay couldn't possibly be genetic because he said that only 5% of gay twins are concordant and no one's found the associated DNA. Both those statements are simply incorrect. The concordance rate is 10 times higher than that, and at least 2 specific loci have now been mapped and replicated. Taken together, these findings lead the scientific community to conclude that sexual orientation is a deeply ingrained, innate trait with strong genetic and biological roots. So gay people no more choose their sexual orientation than do heterosexual people. It's part of all of our makeup. I hope that factual summary is useful to your deliberations, and I thank you, and I'll be glad to answer questions.
Thank you. Next up.
I'm number 3065. My name is Joe Wilson, and I'm a resident of North Shore, Oahu with Dean Hamer, my husband of 10 years. I support SB1. During this special session, the people of Hawaii and indeed the world have been witness to the hell the gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, mahu, and other people deemed unacceptable by bullies know all too well. You have seen us sit here while people speak about us in the most dehumanizing terms, as though we were not even present, as though such vile mischaracterizations as bug chasers, cross-dressers, and security threats did not affect or terrify us, as though such heinous lies did not inflict wounds or tear our souls apart. Having seen this, perhaps you now have an idea of what it might be like to be a young gay or gender nonconforming person in one of our schools, terrorized by playground bullies who act this way. Perhaps now you have an idea what it might be like to grow up in a family that would create such an environment in its own home, forcing their own gay or gender creative children to suppress their most human of feelings, to torture themselves with guilt for who they are, to live a childhood devoid of true parental love, to feel that they have no choice but to take to the streets to survive, or worse, to take their own lives to end this hell. Perhaps now you have some notion what it might be like to be a person who lost a job, apartment, or was denied any number of opportunities most people take for granted because one of these loving individuals could not find it within themselves to be accepting, or to understand that their personal beliefs do not now, nor will they ever, trump our right to live our lives as freely and openly and equally under the law as they live theirs. Perhaps now you'll know what it's like to walk down the street looking over your shoulder, wondering if the person who just called you a faggot or a mahu is going to turn and chase you down, punch or stab you because you are not welcome in their world. If so, I hope you'll agree that it is time to overcome this intolerance and to not just pass what should be a simple thing like marriage equality in Hawaii, but to end these harms that have been done in the name of religion, tradition, and state-sanctioned discrimination for far too long. Please do the right thing, pass SB1, and help make our communities whole again.
Thank you. Next up.
Good evening. My name is Charlotte Burgess. I am number 3170. We the people have voted before, and the outcome from the majority stated no to same-sex marriage. So why do we need to justify how we feel and be threatened by this bill? I say kill this bill, SB1. I recall Linda Lingo having the courage and the dignity to stand up for the people of Hawaii. Marriage brings a man and a woman together as a husband and a wife. Out of their union produces children. This is special, universal, and timeless. Reproduction depends on a man and a woman, which is undeniable biological fact. Reality is children need a mother and a father. Kill the bill, SB1. It is not about my marriage, your marriage, or any other marriage. I am more concerned with the societal consequences of undermining marriage, increasing the already negative impact of motherless homes and fatherless homes. Same-sex marriage is at odds with that ideal. I am a mother, I am a preschool teacher who loves children and daily works with young children. I am speaking on behalf of them. They should be heard and thought about their future because it affects them. If animals can have rights, then where's the children's rights? I feel offended because my rights are being taken away. The Hawaii legislature should protect and strengthen marriage and not undermine it. Preventing anyone from loving one another is a choice and is not limited to marriage. The ability to marry is already restricted in many ways beyond the issue of same-sex marriage. A unique union between husband and wife benefits society, especially children, in many ways that no other relationship can. So, kill the bill.
Okay, thank
SB1.
you. Next up.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. My number is 3113. My name is Grace Elizabeth Milbauer Alarcio, and I strongly oppose SB1. I am a mother of 4 children. I have homeschooled my children for many years. My older 3 are now out of high school, which I homeschooled most of them for the entire time. I chose to homeschool because I did not want them in public school. My youngest son is 9 years old and he's in 4th grade and he goes to a Christian school. I have absolutely no desire to ever send my son to public school. If this bill passes, I am greatly concerned because I know that the DOE will demand public, private, and homeschools to carry the GLSEN curriculum, which is the Gay, Lesbian, and Straight Education Network. Their educational curriculum should not be in our schools. I have seen the curriculum and I do not like it. Currently, GLSEN has Safe Schools Improvement Act S403. And so it actually is in our schools already, and it grieves my spirit. There is a decision to be made regarding this SB1 bill, and I say abolish it and never bring it back of any kind such as that. Then seek wisdom for what to do next. I have heard questions given to those with much education and titles here at these sessions, which are good, yet the greatest wisdom does not come from those sources, but the greatest wisdom comes from our God. The Bible speaks about wisdom.
Thank you very much. Next up, please.
Committee members, my name is Hannah Miyamoto. I'm a licensed attorney in Hawaii, and I have been studying the law on this issue since 1996. The marriage of my parents was not recognized by...
please?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm 3115. Hannah Miyamoto. The marriage of my parents was not recognized by 17 states when my father, a U.S. Navy Chief Petty Officer, was transferred from Japan to the United States. Through my mother, I am a descendant of samurai warriors. The greatest samurai, Musashi Miyamoto, said that one man may defeat 10 men. Now I'm going to try to be the one who defeats 1,000. You have now heard thousands of opponents of SB1, and nearly everyone
Ms. Miyamoto, can you say your number again?
3115.
Okay, wait, hold on.
311. Yingville der Blitzplatz. It was a satirical piece I wrote. So,
okay, so
can I continue?
Yingvigar Blitzplatz is your AKA name.
Yes, indeed. Okay. Since I've been working on this issue since 2008, I was getting a little bit punch drunk, and I wrote something intended to be funny. And my friends enjoyed it.
Go ahead, thank you.
You have now heard thousands of opponents to SB1, and nearly everyone made these points. They support traditional marriage. They oppose homosexuality. However, since 1996, the U.S. Supreme Court has said that neither is a valid reason for passing or upholding a law, period. You have witnessed an extraordinary passion from the opponents, motivated by religious fervor. However, as U.S. District Court Judge Walker said, after a long trial over Proposition 8, which concerned a state constitutional referendum that denied civil marriage to same-sex couples in California, when challenged, the voters, he did say it. When challenged, the voters' determination must find at least some supporting evidence. Conjecture, speculation, and fears are not enough. Still less will the moral disapprobation of citizens suffice, no matter how large the majority. The evidence demonstrated beyond serious reckoning that Proposition 8 finds support only in such disapproval. Proposition 8 is beyond the constitutional reach of the voters or the representatives. And I'd like you to think about that. Mahalo.
Thank you. At this point, that's all for up to 3,200. We can take questions for the last 5 or 6 testifiers who just went.
Hi.
Representative Thielen, followed by Representative McDermott.
Thank you, Chair. I believe a scientist, physician, and quite a few different titles, if you don't mind coming back up. Did you submit written testimony?
Yes, I did submit written testimony, and I've also emailed testimony to Representative Lee and other members regarding the science.
And what is your number on there so I could go hunt that down?
My official number is 302.
No. Your number of testimony or testifying.
It's 3028, but I'll have to check if that has the scientific portion of the testimony, because I actually wasn't going to testify on the issue of marriage until I heard some of the nonsense that was I heard over Alelo, so I came back.
Could you put your conclusion in layman's terms?
Yes, I could.
Okay,
Being gay isn't a choice.
Go ahead.
Being gay is inborn.
I'm sorry, say that again. I can't hear you.
Being gay isn't a choice.
Okay.
It's just a part of people's makeup. It's not a choice. It's not a choice any more than being straight is not a choice. People don't choose to be straight. Suddenly, they just wake up when they're 11 years old and go, oh my God, I really like girls. Just like lesbians wake up when they're 11 years old and say, oh my gosh, I really like girls too. It's just that simple. And there's been a vast amount of psychological research and of anthropological research which supports this. So it's not just the molecular biology or the hard science. It's all of the human sciences that support the idea that people have their sexual orientation, whether it's gay or straight or in between, because they're channeled, because it's born in, because that's the way that they are meant to be.
Okay.
That's the simple explanation.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Representative McDermott.
Doc, can you come back, please? You didn't think you were getting off that easy. Come on now. You're a molecular biologist?
Yes, I'm a molecular biologist.
You have a PhD?
I have a PhD from Harvard Medical School.
In molecular biology?
In biological chemistry, yep.
Okay. I have reviewed a lot of studies, and would you admit that there are also a voluminous amount of studies that have the opposite view of what you're proposing forward, and they're also peer-reviewed?
There are not any studies from molecular biologists that counter this idea. In fact, there is a vast literature on sexual orientation and its molecular biology, not only in humans, but also in a variety of different species, which has not only shown that it's genetic, but have actually identified the specific genes, the nucleotide sequences, exactly what they do and how they affect the brain. And it's not really that complicated. For example, in Drosophila melanogaster, there's a single master
Doc,
switch.
I'm asking the questions, okay? You had
so
there,
the answer is yes. There's a huge literature about the genetics of sexual
Would you also
orientation.
agree there's a huge literature in the opposite direction?
Not by molecular biologists.
Well, maybe.
I disagree.
How
Do you
about
have any citations?
Doctors, I got
from molecular
8 in
biologists?
front of me. I got some up in my office. Now, I'm not a molecular biologist, but please then explain the Spartans, the ancient Greeks, the ancient Romans, the men at the time of Alexander the Great, where homosexuality was rampant and the norm. Did they all have a genetic deviation?
Oh dear, you're confusing molecular science with ancient history. Those are different fields, actually. And so let me explain that as molecular biologists, let me explain.
So,
I can get a professor down at the university that shows that elephants
I don't
fly.
think this is going to go anywhere, so perhaps I should come and
Well,
rescue
answer the
you
question.
guys.
You made fun of me, but you didn't answer the question. Please explain the
you
rampant
can.
homosexuality in the Spartans, the ancient Greeks, the ancient Romans, and the men at the time of the Alexander the Great. Clearly, if it's genetic, there must have been a genetic mutation somewhere along the line. Correct?
Now, let me say first of all that the anthropological studies that I've read have stated that because there were differing conditions, there was different acceptance and different reporting of homosexual activity. But in all societies that have ever been studied, there is a certain level of homosexual activity. It's really just a question of whether that is glorified and looked up to, or whether it is so put down and so discouraged that people are even afraid to report it. And let me further add that
I'm asking the question.
No,
I'm asking.
No.
Yes.
I want to tell
The
you
Spartans,
that
it was the norm. The
Can you
norm.
folks both stop? Okay, let me just stop you folks. I think it's been well testified to that there was homosexuality in various cultures. So I don't think, this needs to be either proven or disproven at the time. So Representative McDermott, if you can continue to question in a cordial way, and testifier, if you can answer in a cordial way. I know it's really late for everybody, but we want to keep cordiality.
I have no more questions.
Okay, Representative Fale. Oh, somebody else? Oh, Representative Kobayashi. No, Representative Fale.
Question for the doctor.
Okay.
And you're going to have to talk slowly to me. I got my education in a third world country, so you're going to have to slow down a little bit for me there, doctor. So what you're saying is that we can take any genetic sample and determine whether that child is going to be homosexual or not?
Absolutely not. No, that's incorrect. That is a misconstruing of what I said, and that is not the way it works. And let me just say that similarly, we know that, for example, there are components for
well, doctor, here, that's why I'm saying you have to slow down here. I definitely didn't go to Harvard. Yeah. Okay? That's why you have to slow down. And you're talking to people like the good representative from Kailua said, you have to talk in layman's terms, okay? What I just heard you say is that you can look at genetic material and say that you can identify this is exactly where homosexuality is located on the human genome, okay? That's what I heard. So what that means to me is that if I submitted genetic material to you of another human being, let's say that's just born, let's say a brand new baby, I can submit it to you, doctor, and you can tell me whether this child is homosexual or not.
I'm sorry, but that is absolutely incorrect. And if you understood what I said,
thank you, doctor. Okay, thank you. Any other questions, Representative Lowen?
I had another question, but for a different testifier.
Okay, anybody for this testifier, Representative Kobayashi?
Could you explain two numbers that you gave? One was a rate of 10,000 to 1, and the other one was 10 times. I didn't quite get what those referred to.
Okay, and I apologize. Trying to condense all of this research into 2 minutes is difficult, so I will explain those two numbers. 10,000 to 1 are the odds in favor of linkage at these two loci, chromosome 8 and X chromosome. 10,000 to 1 odds in favor of means there's only a 1 out of 10,000 chance that the results that were observed were just by chance. So scientists never say, I've shown or I've proven that there's a linkage. We always give you a probability. When you get to 1 out of 10,000, it's good. I mean, if you had money, you should bet on it. No question about that. The other number I cited, tenfold the existing rate, yes, was, and the question about identical twins, the rate of concordance for sexual orientation. In other words, if one of a pair of twins is gay, what's the probability that the other one will be? It's a little bit over 50%. That's 10 times higher than just the average chance of being gay. Normally people have about a 5% chance of being gay. If your twin is gay and you have the same DNA, it's much higher, 10-fold higher. And it's kind of by that rough logic that we figure out the extent of genetic loading for a trait like sexual orientation. I hope that's a clear explanation. It's all in my book, Living with Our Genes, or my book, Science of Desire.
Okay, thank you for your
advertising
promotion of your book. Okay, thank you. Representative Lowen, was that for the same testifier? Different one, same testifier?
Yes.
Okay, can you come back? We have additional question.
I'm sorry, Doctor. Thank you, Chair. There's been, obviously the question of choice has been at the crux of this entire discussion. And I think there's been some concession on one side that, yes, there is some kind of spectrum that some people are more likely to be attracted to the same sex. It's just a matter of fighting that feeling and repenting. What is your feelings about, there's been some ex-gay testifiers. What is your feeling about gay convert to straight conversion? Is that legitimate?
Yeah. Well, As I've discussed, the underlying trait of sexual orientation, that is attraction, clearly has an innate basis. But the way that people actually behave is, of course, under their own control. And people can behave in a way that, is opposite than the way they feel. And this is the basis for the idea of conversion. I've read a great deal of the historical and current literature on this. And it's quite remarkable. It started in the 1940s with electroshock, with castration, with all types of shock therapy, and with lobotomy. Thousands of gay veterans were lobotomized because they showed homosexual behavior in the United States military, and it's really quite drastic. There's no evidence that any of that therapy has done anything except to mess up these people's lives. And it's for this reason that now all of the professional societies, American Society of Psychiatry, American Association of Psychology, et cetera, have discouraged this type of so-called reparative therapy. And I think that there are some districts that have actually made it illegal. So I don't think that it doesn't seem to work. And people certainly have tried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question? Oh, Representative Lowen, you had a question for somebody else? Oh, same person?
Thank you. So we were starting to get into the question of if there's other studies out there. So can you explain the process? I mean, when you're doing a study like this, what kind of literature review you do?
So when we started our study, even before we began collecting data, it was reviewed at the NIH for scientific accuracy. And then because it was such a controversial study, it was reviewed all the way up to the White House, actually, which was then the Bush White House, not very radical. And they approved it because the head of the National Institute said this is a good scientific study. So the design was considered to be sound. After the results were published, then quite a few other scientists also tried to do the same thing or to extend the results. There were 6 replication studies that have been done so far. 5 of them found very similar results and supported it. 1 of them found different results, a study from Canada. And the way that scientists analyze that data then is to combine all the data and do a meta-analysis. And when that's done, it points to the results that I told you about. So the whole idea of science is that no one study proves anything. It just serves as the basis for further studies, and those either get the same results or they get different results. So that's the sort of scientific process.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Representative Fawley, you had a question for somebody
Mr.
else.
Wilson, please. Aloha, Joe. How are you doing?
For all of those of you who might not know, this person is supposedly my representative on the North Shore, District 47.
Yes, and that's actually, as we've had extensive conversations on this matter, Joe, and a lot of the things you've described, those experiences are not limited to the gay community.
I certainly am well aware of that. I've been a human rights activist for more than 30 years in the U.S. and around the world.
And I remember the first time I got my first job, I walked in, had dinner with my boss and his family and a bunch of his friends, and his wife told me, "You look very civilized for a Polynesian." So those experiences, everybody has those experiences in their lives, of having to look over over your shoulder because of your ethnicity, whether you're going to be. So I can empathize with where you're coming from, okay?
Okay, and then he'll get to his question.
And my question is, this has to do with obviously you disagree with my position on this issue, and we've had these discussions where 79.3% of the children in Hau'ula are in poverty. 79.3. They're going to die younger. They're going to have less healthy lives. They're going to have much pain and suffering because of their situation. And that's always been my priority, is dealing with the issues of poverty and the pain and suffering that's inherent there. Because we don't have time to deal with absolutely every single wrong that exists out there. And my question is, Joe, am I correct on this position with the special session? Do we have higher priorities with issues in the state of Hawaii that we have had for longer and probably should have we should have called special sessions for these priorities that are just as important as this issue.
Well, I work on lots of human rights issues, and I think many, many issues deserve discussion and attention. What I have been appalled by is those who have tried to use these sessions to divide communities based on race, ethnicity, et cetera, et cetera. If you yourself have experienced oppression, people that truly are working for the human rights of all people understand what solidarity means. And those who face oppression are most successful when they unite with others who have faced oppression to overcome the obstacles to civil and human rights for all people. And that's what I would love to do with you in my own district.
And
I hope we can do that someday.
Yes, we can do that.
But so far it has not come close to being possible.
Do you agree?
And I have tried.
With the thousands of children in poverty that live in our district, could we, you and I
would love to hear some of your ideas about how to solve those.
Could we
I
put?
think this
Well,
sounds
Madam
like,
Chair, this is very important.
Have
Could
you
we
propo-
put our
have you-
children
Have you
first?
proposed a special
Yes.
session on that subject? Well, then that's great.
Do you believe our children? Do you think the governor should put our children in poverty first?
I'd be happy to discuss my personal
Okay,
beliefs
excuse me.
with you anytime.
Okay,
but
thank you, Chair.
I resent that you are making this a circus.
Thank you. We have gone through a lot of testimony today. We thank the patience of the members and the audience sometimes, both the members and the audience. But we ask for continued patience as we go through the hearing. We will be recessing until tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Decision making immediately to follow, or maybe not. Maybe almost immediately. Okay, but tomorrow, 10:30, we will reconvene here in the auditorium, recess until tomorrow, 10:30 a.m., decision making to follow.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, just really quickly.
Yeah, wait.
The numbers, are we still doing blocks?
Yeah, so we finish until 3,200, so we'll be taking after 3,200. Yeah, for people who have missed it the first time.
So anyone who has not testified will be able to testify tomorrow?
Well, we'll be starting at 3,200,
And so-
3,201.
And so if they've missed their chance, we're not going to allow them to testify?
We haven't decided that yet.
Okay, thank
adjourn.
you.
Recess.